Hey everybody, this is Gabe Hernandez with Comical Opinions. It's taken a few days off. I had to spend some time with the family over the weekend and a little bit longer. But wanted to get back into the swing of things and talk about this announcement from Marvel Comics about the New Mutants, specifically number issue 14, and their announcement that there's going to be a new creative team on the book. The point of this video is not to talk about the creative team necessarily, is to talk about the process by which Marvel announces and advertises and markets their new books or changes to their books, and why I think they might be missing the mark in the key areas, specifically with regards to covers. And let's talk about that a little bit. And this cover in particular, which is a cover for issue number 14, I believe the new creative team on it is Vita Ayala and Rod Reyes, I believe, is who's working on that. I'll have to go back and check the names, and I apologize if I mispronounce the names as well. But again, it's not to talk about the creative team, but talk about this cover and how Marvel is choosing to market itself, and why I think it's missing the mark in doing so. But before we talk about this cover a little bit, I wanted to take a step back and make sure that I contextualize and specify what I believe is the purpose of a cover. And I think this doesn't get talked enough about because I think a lot of the work that goes into covers these days are really for the speculator market and for people that are looking to collect variants and do all kinds of things. But at the end of the day, a cover is really meant to serve one very specific purpose at its core. And a cover is meant to be a billboard. It's an advertisement. The cover is meant to capture your eye when you are walking through a comic book store and it's supposed to say, "Look at me. Hey, I'm interesting. I've got something very exciting to show you. If you pick me up and leave through me, I've got a great story for you. You should spend money on me. You should buy me." The cover is a billboard. It's meant to, and I used to work at a magazine company for a number of years, not too long ago, or several years ago actually, but they would use this term called sticky eyeballs. They want something that's going to grab your attention. They want something that's going to pull you over to it, to engage you, and to coerce you almost. And I mean that in a nice way, sort of in a marketing way, to convince you to pick this book up, to leaf through it, because the cover has something to say. And what it should say is, "Buy me, buy me, buy me, buy me, buy me." That's what the cover is meant to do. And it does that in two different ways, or actually it does it in multiple ways, but there are two ways that are missing from this New Mutants cover that I think are hurting its chances for success when it finally comes time for that book to be released. And I believe it's in December, if I remember correctly. So what are the two things that are missing? So in preparation for this video, what I did is I went back to the original New Mutants run, the very first one, and I dug up number 14, but the one that was labeled back in 1984. And here is that cover right here. This is the New Mutants, number 14, April of 1984. It's largely the same team. You have Cannonball, you've got Sunspot, you've got Wolfsbane, I believe Magic's in there as well. It's not the entire same team, but it's pretty close. Warlock's not there. I don't think he joined the team at that point yet. But you've got a fairly similar lineup. And there are two key differences here that I want to highlight. And I want to see if you can spot it. Maybe not. But we'll talk about it a little bit. There are two key differences here, and I'll talk about this right now. As far as when it comes to grabbing eyeballs, 80% of the sales, and this is coming from also, I'm coming from a copywriting background, digital marketing background, online advertising background. 80% of the sales is the headline. It's the first thing you see when you see an ad. The cover is that. The cover is your headline when it comes to comics. So the headline, which is the cover, needs to grab your attention. And right now, if you compare those two covers, the current New Mutants cover that's coming out in December and the same number 14 from back in 1984, there are two big things here that are missing from the new cover that you see in the old cover. The first thing that's missing is contrast, particularly with colors. If you look at this cover right here, it's very muted. It's almost not quite monotone, but there's a lot of blend going on here. You're using a lot of sort of fall-ish colors, lots of yellows, lots of orange. They're blending in with the earth tones of the browns and the greens of the trees. It's very kind of milk toast, kind of very sedate, very kind of low key colors. Now, let me back out a little bit so you can get a better look at it. That's what you're seeing here. There's not a lot of contrast. There's not a lot of pop. Now, remember, you're competing on the shelf with other comics that are being released in that same time frame. This cover visually needs to compete with all of this. It needs to compete with all of this. It needs to compete with all of this. It has to stand out. If you want to grab somebody's attention, somebody who's walking into the comic book shop, a casual reader, a casual passerby, if they're young or they're an adult or whoever they are, you need something to grab their attention, something that pops, something that's going to grab their eyeballs and draw them over like a magnet. When you have this, that's very sedate, very kind of plain, I guess is the right word, sort of very relaxed color tones and color palette, you don't stand out from this. Now let's compare that to the 1984 number 14. High contrast. They're fighting a demon in the center of the panel. The colors of the team, even the colors within their own uniforms. Here's Cannonball. Look at the stark brightness of the yellow on his boots, on his gloves, on the kind of the main stripe that goes down his back. Contrast with the black on the sides of his uniforms. High contrast. It stands out. And they're fighting this purplish demon that's really obnoxiously big, obnoxiously bold. When you pass this on a shelf in a comic book shop, it stands out. It grabs your attention. You're like, oh, what is that? You can see it from across the room. Even the logo, the red and the yellow, big, bold, bright letters. You could say, sure, it's obnoxiously bold. You could say it's garish or whatever you want to say, but it catches your eye. It grabs your attention. I come over here, soft, muted, light, white, much smaller, bland is the nicest way I could put it. It's bland. So it doesn't stand out. There's no contrast. There's no boldness of color. It's just muted. It doesn't grab your attention. For when somebody's just passing by and they see it, it doesn't pop. It doesn't grab anybody by the eyeballs. What's the second thing that's missing? Let's go back to the 1984 number 14 cover. There's stuff going on. There's action. It may not tell you the story of what's going on, but at least gives you a hint. And what the hint is, the entire team is fighting a very large monster. And in some cases, well, especially in Cannonball's case, he's getting his guts knocked out. Not in a nice way. Sunspots giving him a nice haymaker to the face, and he doesn't look like he's slowing down. They're in a fight, a big fight, and there's no guarantee that they're going to win. It's showing you energy. It's showing you motion. Even if you look around the edges of the page, around the central characters, look, you got all these action lines that are going on here through the back of the logo, all the way around the border. It's showing you that stuff's going on. Rain is jumping over his tail. You got all kinds of stuff happening here. Magic's being yanked up by the arm. She's in imminent danger and peril. There's activity. It's kinetic. It's energetic. Is it perfect? No. I mean, I don't know what's going on with Sam's legs here. It looks like his knees are almost inverted. They're bent back so far. Maybe that's realistic. Okay, but it just kind of looks a little odd. But at the same time, energy, stuff's happening. They're in the middle of a knockdown, drag-out fight. By contrast, let's go back to the new cover. They're standing there. They're looking at the camera, and except for Warlock's sort of goofy, distorted grin, which is sort of normal for his character, they all just sort of look annoyed. Nothing's happening. If you zoom in a bit, it wasn't immediately obvious the first time I saw the cover, but if you zoom in a bit and look closely, it looks like they're all sort of banged up a bit from a fight. Okay, maybe, but what does that mean? It says, welcome to the Wild Hunt. Did they finish the hunt? Is the hunt about to get started? You feel like you've missed something. like you're not in the you're not feeling the energy of the action. Everybody just looks tired and annoyed. And when I look at that and they're making eye contact with me, there's okay, you're tired, beat up, and annoyed. Does that attract anybody? Does that appeal to anybody? Probably not. And I'll give you one more thing. I mentioned two, but there's actually a third here. Let me back out a little bit. There's actually a third point here, and this is more a kind of a common thing I see in comics, both in covers and in panels as well on the interiors, is if I look at this cover, where am I looking? I might see the title, but where am I looking? My focus, my visual focus is right here in the center. Everything is kind of converging on this point of this monster, and the team is all attacking from all different angles, but they're all converging on this point right here in the center of the torso, basically. Now, there's a lot of detail going on all around it, all in different directions, but the visual focus is right there. It's telling you where to look. You look right here. It's giving you direction. It's making you focus on this bold, contrasted character that stands out from everything else that's on this shelf that's right here. It's drawing your eye, not only from across the room, but also on the cover itself. If I look at this, where am I supposed to be looking? There is no focus. The title is offset, off center, up in the corner over here. Welcome to the Wild Hunt. This is supposed to be a hunt, I guess. Is there any sense of predator-prey action? Who are they hunted, or are they being hunted, or are they the hunters? It's all the way down here lower. Should I be looking up here at Magic's very annoyed and irritated face? Should I be looking at Rain over here, who looks kind of, her knees are skinned up, and she just sort of, again, looks tired and annoyed? Where am I supposed to be focusing? The whole effect, the lack of contrast of color, the lack of focus, because basically this looks like just a sort of a run, if anything else, this looks like a rundown after party at a badly attended wedding reception where everybody just got drunk and decided to have a big old fight. It just looks like a flat portraiture. There's no action. The color's muted. There's nothing to grab your eye. There's no focus in the picture. You're just supposed to look at the whole thing as one big blob of drawing in color that doesn't really catch your attention. It doesn't give you any anticipation, excitement, energy. There's nothing. It's just there. It's just flat. No focus, no contrast, no excitement, no energy. And so where I think Marvel, and again, this is not directed at the artist, because I guarantee you the artists, when they were putting this together, came up with multiple designs. Marvel picked this cover. Marvel was the one that said, this is the one we want to go with. This is the one that represents our product the best. So this is not directed at the artist, it's directed at Marvel. And so if I had anything to say about this, it's Marvel, choose better cover, do better with the covers. Remember that the covers are your advertisement. The covers are your billboard. The covers are what's supposed to stand out from this. It's what's supposed to grab your attention. It's what's supposed to say, this is a book worth buying. You do that with this. You don't do that with this. And that's my opinion. So hopefully this was an interesting video that gives you something to think about. Understand that if you're involved in the creation process, remember, it's not just about making a well-designed cover. Remember, the anatomy is there, the structure is there, the composition is all there. It's just, but it's just bland. I mean, there's nothing that says buy me. There's nothing here that says buy me. And that's what we need to get to. So if you're a cover artist, please take that into consideration. If you're somebody who works at Marvel or DC, please think about what you're putting out there, because you need to stand out from this and this. And you can do that with this. You're not going to do that with this. So that's my opinion. This is Gabe Hernandez for Comical Opinions. Thank you very much for your time. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the Comical Opinions newsletter. I've got multiple articles out there that you might find very interesting and informative. And the goal is to put one out at least once a week. I took a week off this week because I had family stuff to do, but hopefully you found this informative. And remember, the subscription is completely free. And hopefully I'll be able to get some new perks out to the subscribers in the near future, but you can only get them if you subscribe. And if you thought this video, not article, sorry, if you thought this video was interesting, please like, share, comment, subscribe down below. Or if you think I'm off my rocker, give me that big old thumbs down and let me know where I've screwed up in my analysis and in my opinion. I'd love to hear from you one way or the other. And don't forget to subscribe so you can catch new videos that I'm working on hopefully every day this week. So thank you very much. This is Gabe Hernandez for Comical Opinions. I appreciate your time. Thank you for stopping by, and you have a great day.